Hello and welcome to Move the Line, presented by SharpStack. Ryan Noonan, joined here as always by Connor Allen, coming off of a fantastic weekend, wild card football. One more to go tonight here, Monday night. The winner of Houston and Pittsburgh has earned the opportunity to travel to New England for the divisional round. Connor, what's going on, buddy?
Yeah, not much. It is crazy that we still have another game tonight. Like, it feels weird after just so much awesome football this weekend. So many good games. A lot of games that started slow and then wound up just finishing insane. So it was awesome. I mean, this is why you watch the NFL.
Yeah, you had boots on the ground for one of them, which we'll get to here shortly, which cannot wait to hear more about because it was electric from my couch, and I can't imagine what the vibes were. Especially, I'm not sure. I'm guessing you went out after too. The game, ended at 10:30. If you were able to walk around the city, because I can't even imagine what it was
We
like.
tried. We legitimately we couldn't. It was so busy we couldn't leave the South Loop because it's not like like Wrigleyville or anything where you can walk around. There's like a nice strip of bars and it's
Sure.
like amazing. Like it's like South Loop. You have to, or like Bears Stadium. You have to like walk like up and down this weird bridge, and like it was like body to body, but everyone's like chanting like Green Bay sucks and other things and stuff like that. But it was like it took us like 30 minutes to get out of like the stadium, basically just walking. And then so then we like got to a bar, but then it was like $1 million to get anywhere. So we just hung out there and didn't make it out till like 1, I think, maybe 12:30. So at that point, we couldn't go out anywhere else. We could have, but it'd been a long day already. We tailgated before, so it was a lot.
Okay. Yeah, that's a full day. It's a full day for sure. Yeah, it's you want to walk to a museum, it's convenient, but it's not what you're
Right.
looking, post game vibes. Where
Wasn't where my mind was at.
no, probably not. Interesting to see whether you walk to from Arlington Heights. There's a Starbucks right there, but they'll have to figure out what they're going to do, when and if that happens there. So yeah, great weekend of football. Really compelling games. We made it all the way through. Obviously, last night's game wasn't as close as the others from a final score standpoint, but still compelling down to the end. And that's, I think, all we would want, which is absolutely electric. Yeah, we suffer through some bad games occasionally, but man, playoff football absolutely delivered. Great theater. Want to remind you to check out SharpStack. Promo code NFL Playoffs is a great way to try us out. $10 for your first month. You can do a 7-day free trial first. So stack those together. Free 7-day trial. If you like it, you want to do it a little bit longer, just $10 for a month with promo code NFL Playoffs. Again, that gets you, it's typically like $130. And again, you're going to get odd screens, ARB tool, EV tool. We'll show some of that today. See if we can pick off any maybe Texans, Steelers props or anything that's out there for you as well. Questions, let us know. You can hit us up specifically, Connor and I, and we can definitely help walk you through. And again, not just NFL. Obviously, the NFL is winding down, but the SharpStack EV tool is popping all sports. So if you want to grind NBA in particular, it's a great sport for it. Definitely check it out. Let us know if you have any questions. All right, let's start talking about what we saw, and then we can move forward to what's to come. So I'm pretty excited about what's coming up next week as well. Let me share our screen and kind of walk through it. Saturday started with what's supposed to be the worst game of the weekend. The Rams were 10 and a half point favorites, depending on where you were.
Yep.
Depending on when you got in, and no surprise. Well, it was almost a big surprise. 34-31 was the final. Panthers were in control. It was a great fourth quarter back and forth. Kudos to the Panthers for hanging. I mean, I didn't think either of us thought that they really had a snowball's chance in hell of getting it done, and we needed late MVP-ish heroics from Stafford and the Rams to get this done. Great game, and the Rams move on.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Panthers all year, basically. Just found a way to hang around a lot of games that they didn't really belong in, win games that they didn't really deserve to win. And I don't think are a good team on paper, but there's something, I don't know, unquantifiable about this team that is really tough to understand. And like Bryce Young, I don't know if he even really played like well, particularly over the course of the game, but made enough bigger throws than normal that like got the job done. Coker absolutely crushed.
Yeah.
And then Tet was solid. So like I don't know, like they put it together. They weren't able to run the ball particularly well. If they were, I think that could have maybe like the Panthers could have won based on how this went. But I don't know. Any concern for you on the Rams like keeping this one close? Because I guess the final result and throughout the game, honestly, I was always surprised like how close it was.
Yeah, a little bit. It felt like they got away from what was working so well in the first half. They were running the ball. Like we almost cashed Blake Corum in like the second
Yeah.
quarter, or first quarter even. And then we had to wait until like 5 minutes left in the game for him to go.
Oh,
So they abandoned, I think he had 9 of his 11 carries in the first half. So they just weren't able to sustain drives as much. It felt like it's like they wanted to get Devontae Adams involved. And like they felt like they just were more aggressive, taking vertical shots to Devontae when it's like running the football and throwing the ball to Puka every time was working. So like, what are we doing here? It felt like they can kind of get away with whatever they wanted. I was impressed. I thought that, even though they gave up 34 points, 300 yards, the Panthers defense played a little bit better than I thought. They will get a little bit more pressure than I was expecting. But I don't know. I still think the Rams ceiling outcomes, which is kind of why everyone feels like the Rams are still a legit Super Bowl contender, is the ceiling outcomes on the Rams on both sides of the ball are as high as anyone in the league.
yeah. It's one of those things where I think that the Rams can still beat everyone. Like I don't, it doesn't change my opinion of them too much, but certainly I think leaves some more doubt in my mind about maybe this upcoming week. In another matchup where I think the Rams are almost very clearly the better team.
Yeah.
But there's a couple of more unquantifiable things about the next opponent that we'll talk about later.
Generational sweat for you and the Xavier Legette backers.
Oh my God. So I was actually with some people. We saw the first Leggett catch, 2 targets on the first drive.
Yeah.
We bet him under 1.5 receptions. And I was like, you know what? This reminds me of the Super Bowl a couple years ago when we bet Byron Pringle under 1.5 receptions, minus 200. He hit a target and catch on the first play of the game. Did not see a single catch the rest of the game. And we won the under 1.5. Exact same thing happened here. I think he got one more target after that. Guy sucks. Barely out there. Yeah, 4 targets, but still, it's like, would I have played it again knowing that Bryce Young would throw the ball 40 times? Probably not.
Sure.
But it got home, so that's good. A win's a win. But yeah, certainly the the optics in the rearview mirror were not fantastic.
Yeah, I wasn't even thinking. I was thinking about it when it happened right away because I'm like, oh, I know Connor is on under the 1.5, and they gave me basically 2 targets to start the game. Got one of them, like, oh man, you hate to see that. And then the whole rest of the game, nothing, just insane run out there. That always feels good, right?
Yeah, it feels great. I mean, look,
I feel like you're gonna have a good weekend when stuff like that happens.
And I did. That was a great part.
Yeah.
We got that, and then the Rams rushing team stuff hit here. So it was want to be in a great game. But I should have hit more alts with this Rams rushing stuff, like you mentioned. Like they just stopped running the ball well or running the ball at all, basically in the second half, and so we didn't cash really any of the alts here, which kind of sucked. But is what it is.
Moving forward for the Panthers, I don't know. The Bryce Young, nothing changes my mind on like Bryce Young necessarily. It's good to see Tet be that guy that you would want when you put first round draft capital into a top 10 or, wide receiver. Coker emerging, I think is a real thing. They lost Ike Ekwonu here. They've had some other offensive line issues. So it seems like something they could address in the draft. Still think the defense is overall below average unit. But again, they're in a division that seems very winnable every year. So I'll be interested to see how they approach the offseason. But again, you're kind of tied to Bryce Young. I'm not sure what his contract situation is, but feels like you're going to have to make a decision there pretty soon.
Yeah, I think you got one more year of cost control with Bryce Young, right?
Yeah.
And then you'd have to, I guess you could pick up his 5th-year option, right? But I don't know. It'll be interesting because I don't think he's the answer. I think they're better off moving on here quickly. But, the other options available, I don't think are particularly great.
Yeah, he's back next year for sure. It's just, do you want to do the Daniel Jones thing, right? In Indiana, in the Giants, right? Where they felt like they probably could have got away with waiting a little bit longer or maybe franchise tagging him a little bit. And they, ponied up and paid a bunch. Don't feel like you want to do that. We trust the analytics team, people in charge there, making the right decision there. So it's tough. It's a tricky place to be.
Based on what I know about them, I can't imagine they're going to probably be looking for other options.
I would think so. Probably next off season, unless he takes strides forward, right? And having Coker and Tet definitely helps that out. All right, we'll get to the game that you were at. insane. Chicago 31, Green Bay 27. I've not had time to rewatch. Like I say, I want to rewatch the second half and get a feel for like what happened. Because it was pretty bonkers. I mean, some insane stuff in the first half, even for the Packers, like, early touchdowns on, like 3rd and long. It could have been, 3rd and 9, ends up being, the touchdown to, I think it was the Jaden Reed touchdown. And then, 4th down touchdown, right? Like, you don't get those, or you force field goals and things look very different heading into the half. 21-3 at the half, 21-6 to start the fourth quarter. Bears just continued to drive and couldn't get into the end zone. And then Green Bay started just, I don't know, treating timeouts like they had an infinite amount of them. And that obviously came back and cost them. You could see, again, I know for the, win projected bros who, hate these graphs, I get it. But this one tells a very specific story of one of the most insane comebacks for a team that this is their bread and butter. And again, they continue to test fate, but we're almost touching the top here, right? I mean, we're right at the top of where this game looked like it was trending there for a little bit. And then the Kayla magic is pretty undeniable at this point.
Yeah, it was nuts. And like they went for it 6 times on 4th down throughout the game. They didn't get any, I don't think, in the first half. They only got 2 out of 6 total in the game. I mean, Ben Johnson was going for it like on his own 30 time, 35, 40. Like it was any time. It wasn't even like small 4th and shorts. He was just going for it whenever, just trying to get something going because they really weren't moving the ball particularly well. The first drive was good. It was like a super long running drive. Like things were looking decent. Ended up stalling for a field goal, but it was like, okay, like they're moving the ball all right. They can do well. And they just couldn't do really much of anything in the rest of the half. And it even took really to the fourth quarter, as you mentioned, 21-6 heading into the fourth quarter for them to get going at all. And what stood out to me the most actually was the defense here and like how what Dennis Allen was doing for a large chunk of the game that just like wasn't working. And it's kind of cool being at the game because you can it's more zoomed out, so I could see kind of like where the safeties were and like where what was going on. Dennis Allen was just running like cover 1 or cover 0 man like every 3rd down and every 2nd down and like just trying to get pressure and get home, and he just couldn't. Like he was sending guys like crazy, 5, 6, like whatever he can get in there, and they just weren't getting home at all. So then Jordan Love was just absolutely tearing apart, and the receivers were just dismantling the Bears corners because you got like a banged up Kyler Gordon and Nashawn Wright and guys who are just not very good at this point. But then he made a change and kind of started sitting back a little bit more, and Montez Sweat started getting home on his own. And so then that makes a big difference. And Austin Booker was, out there. Like it was like that change right there, I think made a big difference because the Packers scored 6 points in the second half compared to 21 in the first. And then the Bears were obviously able to turn it on late offensively. But the biggest change to me was the Bears defense, because that the comeback never starts if the Bears defense doesn't play well and force some stops, because they looked like the worst defense in the league in the first half. Like they just couldn't do anything.
It's still a situation where I thought Jordan Love played pretty well. 4 touchdowns and 323. They sometimes still struggle with singles and doubles, right? Like he loves to go deep when you're inviting that. When you're playing man in cover 1 and cover 0 at such a high rate, you're inviting that when you're blitzing so much. But it just seemed like they stalled out a couple of different times. And there's just, that's kind of the magic of what happens with the Bears. And, the timing of, we've all seen some of the Caleb throws now. I mean, that 4th down throw is, your season. It ends there. And such an insanely athletic throw to be rolling to your left as a right-handed quarterback to make that throw and drop it in a bucket. That's why he's probably going to continue to be so fascinating and so frustrating, because I think he's going to still another guy that will struggle to make some basic throws. You're like, what happened there? And we'll make an insane play that I don't know, 3 or 4 other quarterbacks in the whole league can make, which is just invites a ton of upside. And they're fascinating. This matchup here, this is the Sunday afternoon game with the Rams going to Chicago. Let's see where we are currently.
It's 4.5, I think. 3.5.
Yeah, 3.5 across the board. Some 4, still 4 out there at ESPN score. Total of 50.5, 51.5. How do you handicap that right now?
I mean, kind of what we alluded to here. Like, so I dug up some of the stats of Dennis Allen against Matthew Stafford in his career, which obviously a little bit noisy considering both have been in some different locations. So 7 games against Dennis Allen defense in his career, 64.7% completion rate, 8 yards per attempt, 18 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, averaging like 270 yards a game. 3 of the 4 interceptions came in one game. All of which were pick sixes, by the way. I think it was like, against the Saints like a couple of years ago. But then only 2 of those games were with McVay and the Rams. It's 2022. He crushed. He left early with a concussion, though. 2023 completed like 70%, 328, 2 touchdowns, and 0 interceptions. So schematically, there's nothing in my mind for me to think that this is going to go particularly well for the Bears. I will say, though, that it's going to be like 0 degrees or like -5 degrees. This is an LA team. Like, Stafford has never played in a game this cold in his entire career, NFL career, per what I can find. He's never even played anything close, actually. I think the closest was like 20 degrees against the Jets, which he didn't do well, but it was a good Jets defense. It was like 2023 or something like that with the Sauce, like Salah, like they were a good defense at that point. So I don't think that there's any like clear thing of like he can't be good. I think he's certainly built to rip it and be fine in the cold. But the turf is going to be rock hard. It's going to be cold, and I mean, I don't know. This is one of those games where I think the Bears can probably have some success offensively. I worry about their defense a lot in this game. So I don't know. Do you have any early thoughts here? Because for me, it's mostly just like I don't know. I don't have too much data to back it up that would back the Bears, but there hasn't been much data to back the Bears for most of the season, I would say.
Yeah, I worry about it seemed very obvious that they were, and again, I think Kyler Gordon's awesome. He's just obviously not healthy. Packers clearly were looking for him anytime he was on the field in the second half. It was literally it felt like 5 straight passing plays. They were going after Kyler Gordon. Now, the numbers weren't great, and part of it was they were taking shots, deep to him because his actually catch rate over expectation pretty good. But again, they were probably throwing a little bit deep. Yeah, I mean, Love's passer rating when targeting Kyler Gordon was pretty solid. Jalen Johnson had probably one of the more underrated plays in the game, that break up over the middle for, I think it was a 3rd down to Christian Watson. It was just a fantastic play. If they can get him to start playing like he's been playing in years past, that's going to be huge. They're going to need some answers for Puka. That's what would make me nervous right now. I'm not sure that guy is on the roster in their current state. Just feels like throwing the ball to Puka 15 times is a pretty good weapon. Now, throwing the ball 15 times to Colston Loveland was also a insanely efficient scenario for the Bears. I mean, Loveland, I think 15 targets and 8 balls. I think 5 of the 8 went for 19 or more yards. So it's not like he just was cleaning up and getting targeted and then winning a bunch of little dump offs. Colston Loveland was winning vertically. He was winning up the seam. He's winning in press. It didn't matter what they were doing. He was an absolute weapon. I think I like the Bears getting more. I like the hook on getting the Bears. Connor dropped off. He'll be back with me. But yeah, I think getting more than 3 is probably where I would lean right now on Chicago. So again, I don't want to get caught up too much in singular game, catch rate metrics, completion rate over expectation metrics. For the most part, the Bears secondary didn't play particularly well. You could see anytime Kevin Byard was the nearest defender, that was good for the Packers here. Named McLeod. I'm sure they would love to keep McLeod off the field. It's not gone well for him all year. He's only on for 13 snaps. So that's a little bit noisy. They did lose TJ Edwards in this game. It looked like a broken leg, broken ankle. So we'll see what happens there in terms of DeMarco Jackson having to cover some tight ends. That's been a big piece of what the Rams have been doing. They went away from it, and we didn't see as much 13 from the Rams this past week against Carolina, but I think we could see that a good deal against the Rams here too. So yeah, fascinated to see how that one plays out. But as you can see, currently we're looking at most part 3.5s across the board. Feels like a lot of points too, but we're kind of kicking around key numbers here. 50.5 on Pinnacle, 51.5 on some of the other books. So like shopping around would matter, key numbers and stuff. So, yeah, it's hard to tell. If I think I would lean on the over, but I also lean on the Bears getting more than the hook there. So, any thought on the total?
Yeah, my mic is still wrecked, so
Oh.
it just like died. It just died mid-show. It just like died.
Yeah.
It's which is crazy to see. But yeah, I mean, 51.5 is hefty, but yeah, it's Bears, grinding another one out and finding a way here, and plus 3.5 at home. I don't think it's bad. But yeah, the Puka to Stafford stuff is really tough to envision going well for the Bears defense. So I don't know. Maybe Dennis Allen figures something out. Maybe the blitzes get home this week. Maybe things are different. But I still think that there's enough magic on the other side that they can figure it out. I mean, this Panthers defense I think is pretty good, Rams defense is pretty good, but
oh yeah,
I don't know if they played all that well, really. I don't know, just let up 31 points to the Panthers.
For sure. Yeah, I think you can get them at corner. I think the Quentin Lake return is nice, but yeah, I think the defense is better than it played. This is the play, Connor. What are we talking about? We're burying the lead. Rams first half -2.5. Right, like if you like the Bears,
Really?
Why would we mess around with a 3.5 pregame when we're going to get like +6 or 7 at halftime? Right, like Rams first half, Bears full game would be probably the best way to go. And if you like the Rams, I think the less than 3 is probably the right angle. Not a lot of interest in the total because again, the Bears have pretty consistently laid eggs. Any thoughts on handshake gates or F them Packers in the locker room after? Any thoughts on the old heads having a real hard time with the professionalism of the handshake and the F the Packers speech?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not professional. It's definitely not the norm. But I thought it was awesome. I mean, it's cool. It's just like, I don't know, bring some rivalry and fun to the NFL again. Like LaFleur was super professional. Ben Johnson was cheesing like probably like Brady when he got his first car. A couple weeks ago, like after that handshake, he was going nuts. But I mean, they also work their asses off, and I think they like to escalate it. I love the presser this morning that the McCaskies like signed off on him saying "fuck the Packers." I think that's hilarious. Like, I don't know, but now they gotta back it up, because if you talk a lot of trash, like, and you don't keep winning, I mean that runs thin real quick. I think we kind of saw that with some of Mike McDaniel's antics, over the last couple of years, and it was different, obviously way different. Like he was more like chill, vibey, Miami bro kind of thing. Morphed into that. And people don't like whatever shtick you have after a while if you don't win. So it's all good and dandy when you're winning. If you're not winning, then it's not going to go well.
Look, we've talked about it extensively. It's one of the fakest rivalries in professional sports, right? Like it's, proximity based. It's not like they're the closest to franchises. Like, I don't know. Again, they're old. They've been around for a while, franchise wise. But like, we've had 3 games in 6 weeks, 7 week span, all amazing, all down to the last snap, all great. Like, in terms of the lore of the history of the rivalry, these are 3 of the best games they've ever had, stacked all up against each other, right? There was a little bit, it felt like, at least to me with casuals, that there was some Packers Bears fatigue. It's like, again, the Packers? And it's like, the first 2 games were awesome. They're both good. This matters a lot. So, look, yes, not professional, but I think I saw Kyle Brandt talking about it today too. It's like, we've had enough of post-game jersey swaps, right? There's so much of that in the sport. It's good. I'm not saying we need to generate animosity for no reason, but look, he came and he stood up on the podium for day one and was drawing a line in the sand. It's like, we're going to make this a thing. Our fans want it. Their fans probably want it. The Packers have been waiting for the Bears to catch up for a little bit. Lean into it. I love it. He shook his hand. Unprofessional would have been not shaking his hand. He shook his hand, kind of like a douchebag, but he shook his hand.
Yeah.
And look, it's really, you put your opponent, division rival, ideal like rival in a body bag, and they got to think about it for the entirety of the winter, spring, and summer. That's kind of cool, and the Bears haven't had that for a while. So I thought it was fine. That
Also,
was great.
like any Packers fan claiming that this is like crossing the line, like Rodgers used to say, like, I'm your daddy, basically, to the Bears. Like, he's like, I own the team. Like, which, to be fair, he was not wrong.
Correct.
He was their daddy, but like he talks shit and that's fine. But like, just because now Ben Johnson's saying fuck the Packers, like that's not that much different. Like in some ways that actually might be better, to be honest. But
Yeah.
but I don't know. I just think that the holier than thou complaint there does not hold up at all.
Sounds like the Packers will be bringing LaFleur back, which seems to be, I don't know, a little polarizing. People seem to be, both sides of that. Jeff Hafley, defensive coordinator, is a popular potential head coaching replacement candidate elsewhere. So be interested to see what happens there. They have some other big ticket free agents that they have to make decisions on. So it'll be interested to see what happens with the Packers this offseason. But I can't imagine that we will start to do division previews in July and not think that the Packers are going to be in position to be one of the NFC's, playoff teams again. So
I think the LaFleur stuff too, like if you have a good like concession plan, it could make sense. Like if you knew you were going to bring in Harbaugh, or, you felt really good about Mike McDaniel or Stefanski or something like that, just like, if you felt really good about that. I'm not saying that that's necessarily the right answer. Harbaugh, I probably would pull the trigger on. I'd probably just do it. But otherwise, I don't know. I don't know if I would do it, to be honest. I think that I would keep him and then hope for something else next year.
I think when it feels like there are teams that are lining up to hire him, then you should probably have some pause to think about, is this the right move for us to get rid of him? If everyone else is clamoring and he would instantly move to like one of the top two positions of viable replacements for other teams,
totally.
I should think about it before. But what's interesting is, again, they don't like to have guys on, like, they don't want the coaches on, lame duck final year of their contract stuff, which is interesting. It's like, why not play it out versus tying yourself up to, a long-term deal, right? Like they get bounced again next year early, don't make the playoffs, and you decide, hey, I'm gonna extend him. Now I'm on the hook for 4 more years. Like that's tough. So I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. This is another good comment here. No Emmanuel Wilson was nice from Donnie.
Right, Donnie.
We were at the game, and like Emmanuel Wilson came in the first drive because it was like for the Packers, and it was a super long drive. It was like, I think Jacob said like 4 or 5 carries the first drive. It was like 10 plus plays, and he came in, had like a couple of play actions, and me and Rahul were like screaming at like Emmanuel Wilson. We're like, don't give him the ball. No, like, like everyone around us is like, what is going on? Like, like, well, why do you not want to give him the ball? It was great. He got 1 carry. He didn't play much at all, like the second half. Jacobs is a workhorse as we expected. So shout out to you for, finding the play, and yeah.
Oh, Mike again. Connor, you know what? I just it's gonna turn a new leaf. I just gotta be looking for more unders, buddy. Gonna be looking for more unders, catch your attention, surprise you. So tackles and unders, I do like a good alpha over. That's a good luck with, I bet Tet over. I bet Puka over. Like I probably want some Nico tonight. I haven't got down on that. I
thought about that too. I was looking at it just for fun. Might be a good one.
Yeah. So we can mix in some alpha overs. Saquon. Like, why didn't I push out Saquon? I love Saquon. I couldn't decide between, I was considering making an official play. I couldn't decide if I wanted to do carries or yards. He blew through both of them. So we'll still find some room in the playoffs for alpha overs, but want to find some spots to make some sense too. Right? I'm thinking about defensive stuff. I should be thinking about good matchups. I should think about unders. I gotta, it's on me. Hole in my game. I want to patch it up.
I played some more overs this year. Next year, it'll be the year of the unders for Noonan.
Yep, coming back. All right. Sunday, first game, Buffalo 27, Jacksonville 24. Another really bizarre football game. Very compelling. Great all the way through. Josh was kind of what we expected from Josh, kind of having to do some Superman type stuff. Khalil Shakir was targeted over and over and over again. Seemed like especially early, it was that second drive that the Jacksonville Jags had that like, it was like 4 straight runs by Tootin or whatever that were like gashing him. It's like, oh, like this is what we thought could happen here. And then they're just like, yeah, you know what? That was too easy. Why don't we just let Lawrence drop back every time instead of, we know we can go back to the running game whenever we want. They just decided not to play with their food, and Lawrence, I don't know, tip balls, interceptions, bad interceptions. It wasn't great, and survive in advance of the Bills, 27-24.
Yeah, I don't think there was anything like really all that crazy. I think that's actually, to be honest, played out how most people, like us and most people in the industry, analyze it. It's like, all right, well, the Jags can easily win this game if they slow down the run, and then it'll force Josh Allen to basically be a superhero or just be awesome, and then they can win. And that's basically exactly what happened. Plus a nice little tipped pick at the end there. Again, a little bit of negative luck, but that could have easily swung in Jacksonville's favor. Like if they ended up scoring there, win the game. I mean, it was whatever, -1.5, 50-point total. I mean, the total ended at 51. So like I don't know. This is basically exactly very much 50th percentile or 55th percentile outcome either way of whatever you expected in this game. So I don't have too many takeaways. I think it could have seen the Jags advance here or not. So yeah, no massive takeaways here, but I'm interested in next week for the Bills, which I'm sure we'll get to in a bit.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens there too. But Jacksonville off season, interesting. I mean, Parker Washington seems like a legit guy. Obviously, you've traded for and extended Jacoby Myers. You have a weird up and down, mostly down Brian Thompson Jr. season, and then you have the Travis Hunter stuff as well. So, be interested to see if they move on from a Brian Thomas Jr. and make a trade there. Interested to see if they want to continue to go 2 ways with Travis Hunter, considering that they are not necessarily weak in the secondary. Like, I don't know. I'm very fascinated to see what happens in the offseason with Jacksonville. It feels like pretty good coach. Again, young organizational minds kind of in play there. Lost themselves a little bit in that game, getting away from the run, but I think obviously a pretty good season. Definitely exceeded, I think, our expectations for Jacksonville coming in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was a great first Liam Cohen season for them, and at this point, like, they don't even like have to make changes because like it's super disappointing for Brian Thomas for like what we saw his rookie year versus what we saw this year. But in terms of like if you want an outside guy that's just gonna be like I don't know, they're basically using this like a field stretcher, kind of like glorified version of that, then I mean I guess you have a good one.
Yeah.
But it certainly seems like a waste of draft capital talent if that's how you're gonna use him. But there also seems like just some weird stuff going on there with I don't know behind the scenes we probably don't know about. So who knows? Very possibly traded. That wouldn't surprise me that much either, I guess. I would guess that Travis Hunter is going to come back and be like 95% a corner with like 3 to 4 design plays next year when he returns, to be honest. Like, where are they going to use him? Like, Parker Washington and Jacoby Myers are awesome.
I know. Yeah.
Maybe and not again, awesome for Jacoby. Jacoby's just like good. Like, he's just solid, But
yeah, no, he's good. Yep. No, it's fair. That's the only reason you make a Brian Thomas Jr. trade, I guess. Obviously, you want to have depth behind that, but again, you'd have a wide receiver 3, a wide receiver 4 that are first round picks the last 2 years. Seems like a weird way to go ahead and build a roster. And again, like the Travis Hunter stuff is way less fascinating. Like you leveraged a lot to trade up from 5 to 2 to get him, for him to be a corner only. Right, like that's not really given a full year, and like not even really a full half year, right? Because it seemed like it was so uneven to start the year too with his usage and what's going on there. So yeah, very interesting offseason decision there. But again, if Lawrence can continue to make strides, second year in Liam Cohen's offense, you should expect Jacksonville to be competitive again next season. So let's see what our line is. It was the first game on Saturday afternoon. I believe it's in like the 3:30 or 4 o'clock window. Buffalo on the road in Denver. We've kind of fluctuated, and you could see here kind of flat, essentially a pick 'em. Oh no, I'm in the first half, but still mostly a pick 'em. Well, moved a little bit. Pinnacle moving out to 2.5. Very, very interesting. I don't think either of us think super highly of Denver. They are such a challenging team to handicap. Again, your Broncos fans, your Bronco ties have long since died. I don't think can't have you caping up too hard for your team here, quote unquote. But look, they've shown some signs that shows that they are one of the real teams, and then you just get them playing with their food so strangely against bottom feeders. Fascinating game. I don't really even know how to handicap this Buffalo team against Denver here. So, what are your thoughts?
I think it's pretty similar, honestly, to I guess the other game they played. Also, too, this Denver defense, they're obviously a really good unit. I think there are some holes to pick though. Like when they played good teams this year, or like a couple of good teams, they got blasted. I mean, the Jags shredded them. Early season Colts with Daniel Jones crushed them. Like they were not like a perfect unit by any means. I learned that the hard way, unfortunately, via my money and some unders. But
even kind of mobile prime Jackson Dart that we saw this season, right? When he felt like he was really cooking, they had everything going on there. They kind of did whatever they wanted in that game.
I agree. Yeah, exactly. So I think that the Bills could easily win this game. They're obviously a flawed team in their own, but I worry a lot about this Denver offense. I worry just like the consistency of what that looks like. They've been really spotty at times. Sometimes they look great. Sometimes they look like a bottom 10 unit. So kind of the Jekyll and Hyde of whatever we get there. And then on the other hand, like Josh Allen, I think probably does fine in this matchup. I think that he does good. It's not quite as clear of like a pass funnel as the Jags were, with James Cook. I doubt that he's going to have 15 carries for 46 yards again, which, I think that helps Josh Allen even more. When they can run the ball, they're even better. So I think that the Bills win this one, to be honest. I like them against the spread right now.
So Bills less than 3 is a play for Connor. I don't disagree, just because when this game starts, this is one of these things, right? We easily get lost in these moments. And this isn't like data driven. It's very much not data driven. This game starts, I turn this football game on and I'm holding a Broncos ticket. The first time the Bills have the football, I'm like, shit, like, why am I like, I'm sure that was for anyone that was holding Jags tickets this past weekend. The game starts, you're like, I got Trevor Lawrence instead of Josh Allen. And this is like basically a pick 'em. Like, I don't want that. I don't want Bo Nix. I don't want money on Bo Nix when Josh Allen was a viable option at less than 3. And I think sometimes playoff football can come down to those singular things. So, and Denver's not a team that, especially lately, they've been skewing so pass heavy. They're not a team that's just going to be like, yeah, you know what? We're going to do what Jacksonville forgot to do. And we're just going to punish you on the ground until you stop it. We're going to make you like kind of man up and stop it. Again, like Jordan Poyer leaves this game with a hamstring injury. Hamstring injuries for a guy Jordan Poyer's state of his career, it's not a 1 week bounce back injury too. He's been such an important piece of their run stopping, which has been almost non-existent. So like, I don't know, is Denver built to take advantage of the Bills' really clear, blatant weakness? I don't know that they are.
Yeah, and I mean, if they had, it's crazy to say, if they had J.K. Dobbins still, maybe.
I agree.
Like, kind of having someone who can like grind the ball a little bit better. I don't know if they like Harvey will get a lot of work. I just don't know if he's quite the right type of player to really execute that.
Yeah. And it looks like he was close. I don't know. Maybe we get good Dobbins news on Wednesday. We get practice, and it seemed to be trending pretty well. I don't know if we can look at anything now, but I that would be interesting. That would give me pause on Buffalo. Or yeah, I don't know. I still think I'm still with you. I think I like Buffalo, but we'll see. But fascinating game, really interesting. Let's move on to the other Saturday night game, rematch of what we just saw a couple of weeks ago. Well, let's talk about this one, the Sunday afternoon game. We got the Niners and Eagles. Champ is dead. Another really weird football game. I can't imagine playing for the Eagles. Like, you're the defending Super Bowl champs. You went, 11-6. You had a pretty good year, and like you go 3-0, and your team is just getting booed off the field relentlessly. Again, this is one of those situations where I know you were doing your sleuth work early in the season. AJ Brown didn't go to Hurts' wedding or engagement party or whatever was going on.
Yep.
It's just at a certain time, the vibes are going to catch up, and it's really hard to outrun very clearly bad vibes. Just seem like Sirianni is a guy that like they don't like his shtick. It's a little bit much. I don't know. They couldn't outrun the vibes. The Niners are insane again. To lose George Kittle in the first quarter of this game with everything that they've been missing this year that they lost to continue to win football games is an insane run out, a testament to Kyle Shanahan and his staff. Robert Saleh deserves a lot of credit for what they've done with this. I mean, we're not even at the B team anymore. We are at the C team in some positional groups. It's wild. 23-19. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, they were just a straight up awful defense at this point. Like I don't think that they're very good with what they got left.
They're not.
And I mean, we saw the Eagles like running wise be okay. Saquon at 106 yards, 26 carries, wasn't super efficient. Hurts just like couldn't get it done at all. Devonta Smith had a bigger game, but like AJ Brown had a couple drops when it mattered most. He was John at Nick Sirianni on the sidelines. Tom Brady kept writing it off as like passion, and I get that to some extent here, but AJ Brown seemingly has a problem with basically everyone on the team at this point, considering the whole Hurts thing earlier, and then Sirianni, and I mean it's just like you said, the vibes. Like I thought Philly was a great matchup on paper for the Niners because it looked like Lane Johnson was going to be in, Trent Williams wasn't going to play. Then the exact opposite happened, and Trent Williams played, Lane Johnson out. That matters for sure. And then you add on like just not being able to be clutch at all, scoring 6 points in the second half. And the Niners, despite not being able to run the ball offensively, DeMarcus Robinson pops off for 111 yards, who looked great, was getting open, looked awesome. And then they just checking down to CMC and Juszczyk basically the rest of the game. Jennings had one catch for 45 yards. By the way, his over-under was 45.5. I was very close to pushing that out. I didn't put out the under on him, and I probably would have been shitting myself. So I'm glad that I didn't. Would have been tough, but still did nothing. Like it was an awful matchup. So what are they going to do now? Jake Tonjes will probably play a bigger role. We had a guy named Malik Turner get a target and drop a ball. I didn't know who that was. You ever hear this guy?
Nope.
Yeah, I don't. He's went to Illinois. Looks like he's in his 5th season. I don't think they said he hadn't got a pass in years, I think.
Since the first Bush administration.
Yeah. I mean, I
don't know. A lot of Sky Moore.
Yeah,
a lot of Sky Moore was involved a bunch. Not targets, but he's on the field. He's out there running routes. It's tough. Absolute dime from Jennings, and I did not realize this, but apparently Jennings in high school was like a dude at quarterback.
Yeah, ranked ahead of Darnold, Burrow, Lamar Jackson as dual threat quarterbacks in high school as a quarterback.
It's insane. Dart took it in the face from Jalen Carter. Just insane play. It's just going to have to be a lot of Christian McCaffrey against Seattle, throwing him the ball, trying to hand him the ball. It's not going to work, I don't think, particularly well, but they're going to try.
DMC's rushing over under, because they already released some props for the weekend, is 56.5, and I think that's too high.
It probably is. But again, he uncorrelated over on attempts, under on yards. I keep forgetting. The early Monday releases for playoff games is pretty wild. It sucks because
nothing we can do with it, but it's fun to see though.
It's nice to see the openers. Hey, AJ Brown, love to have you in New England. We can't make the Brian Thomas Jr. trade. We could use another deep threat. Drake May likes to throw the ball deep. Get him out of the conference.
Imagine a locker room with Diggs and AJ Brown.
Look, who used to coach AJ Brown? Mike Vrabel, who remember was very unhappy that AJ Brown was traded. So I'm just saying, just keep an eye out for that.
Remember when the Titans thought they were getting the next AJ Brown, and they traded away AJ Brown for Treylon Burks, basically?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, talk about galaxy brain. That's just rough.
Yeah, Titans fans remember that for sure. That's for sure. It's a tough one. But yeah, I mean, look, the laundry list is insane at this point. Most people watching aren't aware of D. Winters, but D. Winters played linebacker all season for the Niners. He was out of this game. Tatum Bethune, who replaced Fred Warner first, out in this game. Eric Kendricks, who's not a bad football player, but he's a little bit older, literally wasn't on a team until like December, got signed to the practice squad of the Niners, has like played maybe like 12 snaps in the season, like played every down and was like an important piece of this Niners defense. Luke Gifford, who's like their sixth linebacker, he was out for this game. I didn't even know of the dude. I had not even heard. He's not even in my sheets of anything I'm using here. Was it Wallow? Yeah, Grant Wallow. 11 tackles for Grant Wallow. I had no idea who this guy is.
Who is
getting
that?
a ton of snaps. He's a linebacker for the Niners. He had to play the whole game basically because, again, Gifford, Bethune, all these guys are out of the game. Winters, it's just absolutely bonkers of what they're doing rolling out. Like we haven't seen Maurice Siegel in months. He's having to play a ton of snaps. He got 8 tackles. Like these guys just had to again, most of these guys haven't been playing meaningful snaps all year, and they're out here getting work done on the road in Philly in the playoffs.
The further that we zoom out from the Jets, Robert Saleh era, I think we can realize that Robert Saleh is an awesome coach. Like he consistently makes the most out of I think the Jets actually had some good players back, to be clear. Then obviously Sauce and some other guys were good, but he is making the most out of nothing right now. I mean, this is guys that borderline shouldn't even be in the NFL, and they weren't in the NFL until the Niners just needed them.
Yeah, I mean, just absolute masterful job. They dominated in time of possession by the Eagles too. So these guys are on the field a ton and held it down. So kudos to them. The task is tough. They are having to go back up to the Pacific Northwest where they started the season against Seattle. We're seeing most 7.5, some 7s out there on DraftKings and FanDuel. It did not go well just a couple of weeks ago when they matched up. I'll be interested to see what they learned from that matchup. Because again, you would think that they would take away some stuff and improve, but Seattle kind of did whatever they wanted in that game a couple weeks ago. So, any thoughts on early Niners Seahawks?
I think the under is pretty interesting here. I don't really think that there's a reasonable what makes us think that the Niners are going to all of a sudden score more on the Seahawks? This time around. I don't know. Do you have any reason to believe it? Yeah, last game was 17-13. And they played him early, or no, 3-13. Sorry. Earlier in the season, it was 17-13. And I think Robert Saleh's figured out enough ways to spook Sam Darnold that, he can – I think that's kind of an underrated element of getting to the Seahawks here. But, yeah, 7.5 and 4 – plus 7.5 and 40 – under 45.5, 46 seems like a good bet to me. I don't know. Do you have a way that the Niners move the ball well consistently? I don't.
I mean, the matchup that we thought could be exploited when they met just a couple weeks ago was the tight end. You thought George Kittle could be a massive weapon. He didn't do much. They struggled right away, but you've been able to kind of get to the Seahawks with really good tight ends and pass catching running backs. So it's okay, they maybe do have a little bit of a path considering how much they use McCaffrey in the passing game, how much they can use Kittle, but is it Jake Tonjes winning a divisional game for them? On the back of him, that's really tough. So again, the feather in their cap here, to your point of why the under might be good, because even with the B team, Seattle didn't really make them pay, right? This is a pretty pedestrian 20-26 from Sam Darnold. They ran the ball fairly well, but ran in a bunch, kind of controlled the game there. They didn't really have to get much out of a JSN, but they obviously can turn that faucet whenever they want to here. But I think under is probably the best look.
Yeah, I mean, under, and I don't know. I don't know if I really want to back anything else on the Seahawks side here, just because. Yeah, or the Niners side. It's just kind of a tough game. Maybe find some good unders in that game. Great spot for me, but I don't know about for any overbetters. Tonjes 33.5 opens up at a little higher than I would have hoped. Juszczyk at 15.5 because he was basically used as the backup tight end there for half the game.
We saw that early in the year too. Remember though, with Kittle out.
And I remember we had 6.5, and he got a concussion after catching a 6-yard pass in the first drive. That was less than ideal.
Yeah. So interesting. I like the under. I'm with you there. That's probably the game play. But again, like 27 pass attempts, 26 pass attempts. I mean, 10 running back carries pretty unsuccessfully for the Niners here. This is kind of rough. So interesting to see the adjustments, right? Like these coaches are too good for this game to have just happened. They're in the division. They're familiar with each other. There have to have been some adjustments game plan wise for the Niners coming into this game. It might not matter. Again, this happened at home. You're going to a place that's kind of tough to play historically, especially in the playoffs. Those fans will be, ready to go, and that'll be tricky and tough for the Niners. So, not dying to lay the 7, but that's probably my lean too. So, all right, the last game was the Chargers trying to piece it together against the Patriots. 16-3, New England wins that game. But Herbert just wasn't good enough, for being honest. I know that he was under pressure the entirety of the game. You know, also was under pressure the entirety of this game, Drake May. And he held up and got it done. Herbert's got to be better. We're going to have a lot of offseason questions about, can he finally win a playoff game? Can he get over the hump? They're obviously going to be a completely different team with, their bookend offensive tackles, assuming that they can stay healthy. But they often probably lose Jesse Minter, I would expect, coaching somewhere. And I think, again, another underrated coordinator who deserves a chance somewhere. Be interested to see the impact of his loss. But I think the Chargers are going to be an interesting team and popular in the futures market. But they weren't good enough in this spot. Kudos to you for being all over the Omari and Hampton under. But your thoughts on May and the Pats knocking off Herbert and the Chargers?
I mean, I wish I'd had more on the Hampton under. I didn't know he was going to be that limited. I thought it was going to be like maybe 50-50 or something with him and Vidal, not 90-10 or whatever it ended up being carry-wise. I guess I would personally put more blame on, like, the O-line. Keenan Allen played awful. He had, like, 2 or 3 just really bad drops. Herbert didn't play particularly well, but it seemed like he was under pressure a lot. And, yeah, like, I mean, the Chargers defense is really good too. So obviously hats off to Drake May.
Yeah.
He played well. This game was, for me, extremely boring. It was just like a lot of good defense, which is, not what I wanted to see here. I was hoping for a little more, but schematically, like, I played the Omar and Hampton under for a reason. Like, I didn't think the Chargers were going to have success throwing the ball. It was going to have to be all on Herbert's back, and his back broke. Like, he couldn't carry the team, and so. That's a major problem. I mean, yeah, it's just tough. I mean, Vidal averaged 2.8 yards per carry on 11 carries, and that was with a 10-yard carry. So it's like, that's not a good look. And Herbert was scrambling for his life, 10 carries, 57 yards. But this Pats team, I think, is good. I think they. I was actually talking about this with Julian Edlow, the DraftKings guy, this morning. So the look headlines for the Patriots is like -2.5 against the or -3, I think, against the Texans, -6 against the Steelers. I think that the Texans would actually be a pretty similar matchup to what we just saw in this game, with the Patriots shutting down the Texans running game, which is not much of a game anyways, and then CJ Stroud being forced to, like, do stuff and probably not going well, I would guess.
Yeah, I'm a big Steelers fan tonight because that feels a lot safer.
I mean, the Texans defense is obviously a good bit better than the Chargers for sure.
Yeah. The Texans defense is a wagon. I think it's a decent comp. You would probably see a lot of Christian Gonzalez locked up against Nico, or the opposite, right? Where you just kind of throw him and you bracket Nico with, the other side. But yeah, New England's, it's just the on-off splits with Milton Williams are hard to overstate. It's been impactful for both their ability to generate pressure. He got 1.5 sacks last night, and also how good they are against the run. Fantastic player. They gave him a ton of money for a reason, and he seems to be a little bit of a force multiplier where he makes it better for Christian Barmore next to him. He makes it better for Anthony Jennings or whatever else you have kind of mixing in, right? Harold Landry. Everything gets a little bit easier for the rest of the guys around him because he draws so much attention in the middle and does his thing. So, they're better than I think people think defensively.
I hope that Woody Marks runs for like 80 yards in this one because it legitimately might take him 30 carries to get 50 yards against the Patriots. Just given what we've seen in the line and his ability or lack thereof in the Patriots run defense. Like he can't, there's no way he cracks 50 yards barring like a collapse from the Patriots defense. So
yeah, that'd be nice. I know that the Steelers won in New England earlier this season by a field goal late, and they won the turnover battle 5-0. It wasn't just 5-0. That was the game where we thought like, okay, this is going to be the benching or cutting of Ramondre Stevenson, who literally was the best player on the field for the Patriots last night. But like he fumbled on his way to a touchdown. He fumbled again inside like the 5 or 10. So yes, Pittsburgh fans, I know that you already went into New England to win. You could do it again. Sure. I don't think that you believe that very much, to be honest. I'm sure you'd feel pretty good about yourself. You come off of this game and you beat the Texans tonight. So fascinating one there. But yeah, Stevenson was awesome. We fell short of the dig stuff. Like Drake May had 29 attempts and 10 different guys got targeted. It's gonna be really thin and tough to win when you get 10 different guys targeted with only 29 attempts.
I didn't think Booty was going to play either. They brought up some guy in the practice squad.
Awesome.
A bunch of people jammed some Douglas overs, and then he ended up playing and looked great. He broke a couple tackles there. Diggs was running like 3-yard routes basically the entire game because I was watching closely. So that's not going to cut it, but I think that there could still be a Diggs game. I just don't know if I'm going to be betting on it, to be honest, just because based on, I don't know, the routes that he was running were kind of unsatisfactory for me, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Chargers play so much D, and he found like his goal was to just find the spots. And Drake just likes to look downfield, and he's like, well, I'm going to take Booty out here versus the, little 6-yard. There are multiple times, like, they show the replay from like the all 22 view, and you see Diggs wide open, but like, didn't matter. Drake, ball's already gone. He's down the field. So,
or he ran.
There's
a couple of times where he could have thrown to Diggs on a crosser and like probably had 20 yards of space, and instead he like tucked it, and probably still got 20 yards, but at the cost of my prop. How did he not know?
Yeah,
that we bet on him.
It's pretty selfish.
Very selfish, Drake.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens. Any thoughts on tonight's Houston and Pittsburgh game? We got basically 3 across the board, a little bit juicy. On the Texans side, 30.5 total.
Yeah, we touched on it a little bit on the earlier show, but I think that I'm trying to figure out the best way to play this. So, Rodgers, highest rate in the league of passes coming out within 2.5 seconds, 56.4%. And then when the quarterbacks have gotten the ball out against Houston, they've allowed a 70% completion rate, which is still top 10, but still like way higher. When they have not, that drops to 47.7%. It's like third best in the league. So it's like a very interesting tale of like, how do they get the ball quick? How can they? Like I was thinking attempts overs, maybe completions over. The problem is if the Texans don't push them, they might just run the ball 30 times. So like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if I want to rely on a volume-based bet. And I don't know if I want to rely on like a efficiency-based bet because they're still good, but like, there's a lot of wrenches that can be thrown in this. Maybe it's a live bet of like, they fall down by a touchdown. He'll have 40 attempts and 25 completions or something like that, which will be way lower than whatever the markets are at. That and then Kenneth Gainwell stuff. I was looking at unders on his rushing, but that's like 28.5. I think he kind of settled into a good role last week of like mostly just being the quick passing guy. And then like Jaylen Warren's going to carry more on the ground. But that's not like we're like a 2-game sample of that basically. So I don't know how sticky that is.
Yeah. I struggle with, I think I touched on this a little bit. We're looking at kind of the tail ends of plays per game, plays against per game. Pittsburgh, bottom 3 in plays per game. They're almost the most plays against per game, their opponents. And then the Texans are the opposite. They average like 64 plays per game. It's one of the highest rates in the league. And they give up less than 58, which is, again, I think like a top 5 rate. So it's going to be really hard based off of that, depending on what could happen here, for us to get to a spot where the Steelers run 60 plays, right? Then you're working through the lens of like, how do the Steelers get to 60 plays? When you start having to make attempts bets, that starts to get real thin. It gets real tough.
Well, then I mean, Kenny G under 7.5 carries is kind of interesting. Then it's kind of interesting. I don't know. I think that's like 8 carries is a lot of carries. I mean, if in a game that you might not even have 60 plays.
Correct.
Let me
They
look at that
they'll average less than 60. Houston gives up less than 60 on average. Again, I know we're obviously talking about averages. We can have tail outcomes, game scripts get flipped, things like that. But like, we're going to work with an entire season of data of Pittsburgh being one of the slowest teams from a pre-snap situation. Yeah, it's tough. So it's probably a pretty good look.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit of juice on the under, but I mean he is more than 8 carries in 4 games with Jalen Warren this year, and there was like games that they ran the ball a million times.
Yeah.
So it's possible, but I don't know. It kind of seems like an interesting look there.
Sharpstack likes under 1.5 yards from Aaron Rodgers. Likes the under on Thielen receiving yards at 14.5. What do we got here? Oh, Caesars is there too on the rushing yards. So there you go. You get a little bit more down.
Pop that open. What's driving that under? Let's see. Click the plus thing. We got Penny minus 103. Is that just
that's even a half? That's a half yard
it's
too.
A half minus 103. Okay, that's probably driving it. Yeah, I'm always hesitant to play quarterback rushing yards in the playoffs, and I think Rodgers is like pretty gritty. But yeah, I mean, blindly tailing Sharpstack obviously has been pretty solid. So
yeah, 2 yards. It's a tough hang.
And I love the unders like these. MVS under 1.5 minus 160. That's my kind of bet right there. I love that.
Yes.
That is great.
Yeah. MGM, so you're screwed there. But Builder 185.
What's
Caesars FanDuel?
Yeah, he barely even runs. I think it was 82% route rate last week. But I think we might see more Calvin Austin.
And DK Metcalf's back.
And DK Metcalf. Oh man, I gotta play this. This guy's not even gonna be out there. Like, I think Thielen might play more too. I think Scotty Miller was like kind of their best player the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
He didn't play as much last time. He had 24% last week, 69% 2 weeks prior. I'm gonna bet it just for the bit / it's a good bet. So
I think it's a good bet. Yeah, it's pretty good.
I don't even know if he gets targeted. If he does, it'll be like 50 yards downfield, and he ain't catching that. He's the new Mecole Hardman.
Yeah, your sweat might be snaps.
Yeah, I wonder. It's like a big mystery. I looked at whatever, like Rich Rebar's thing. I looked at ETR's thing, and no one really had a clear answer on the rotation for these guys. You know what I mean? Because I think there's definitely some value somewhere. I can't really tell you where it is.
Yeah, DK stuff obviously complicates that too. So, all right, good stuff. I'm excited. One more football game tonight, and then I think 4 bangers here. Obviously, it looks like the Patriots have been getting bet because that was, I think, 1.5. If the look at line with Houston, and I think it opened at 5.5 against Pittsburgh. I saw that and I'm like, that's probably going to be pretty popular. That 5.5 won't stick around, and it sounds like it hasn't already. So. Yeah, good stuff as always. Glad you survived Chicago on Saturday.
Barely.
Man, Connor's going to be into some stuff tonight. I think it was going to get wild. So,
oh yeah,
congrats to the Bears.
It was a blast. Chicago was just on fire. It was crazy. Yeah, it was just an awesome time. The atmosphere was super cool.
Yeah,
Highly
appreciate everyone hanging out with
us.
Yeah, well. Till they take that sucker out of the city and put it in the suburbs, and it gets a little bit harder to navigate. So
right, for sure.
Check out Sharpstack. We just showed you a little bit of it. Again, free 7-day trial, or if you want to extend NFL playoffs for a month for $10. It's a great deal. Again, move the line wherever you listen to podcasts. 4 live on the YouTube channel. Come back on Friday for our prop show. For Connor, I'm Ryan. We'll see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.